Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, first of all, I've decided not to name this playlist Kill the Rich. Instead, it's going to be Eat the Rich. I don't want anybody to think that I'm actually advocating killing the rich. I'm not, at least yet. And as I mentioned in my first video in this playlist, it will deal with how the rich are the cause of so many of the social ills in this country and around the world. So let's talk about globalization and trade pacts between nations. See, it used to be that when a nation traded with the United States, we put tariffs on their goods because they generally paid lower, and those tariffs served to level the playing field between the two countries. If one country is paying their workers poverty level and the other country is paying their workers well, then it's much harder for goods to compete against each other, for businesses to compete against each other. And the United States at one time had a pretty well-paid and large manufacturing sector. But then globalization came along. Free trade, they told us, would bring prosperity far and wide, and everyone would benefit. And that would have been the case had it been done right. It could have done that. What was needed was for worker protections and living wage provisions to be put in the global trade deals. This would have lifted people up in countries where workers received poverty level wages. And it also would have allowed our goods to compete. But that wasn't done, so when tariffs were eliminated, it became very profitable for businesses here in the United States to move things overseas. Manufacturing plants went overseas. Call centers is another perfect example. It makes more sense to have them in India, where they're not paying as much. Unfortunately, that means that when you call up somebody for help with a problem, sometimes it's hard to understand the people that are supposed to be helping you. But what did follow was a huge exodus of decent paying jobs from the U.S. overseas to countries where those same jobs pay poverty wages. Now the rich, they benefited a whole lot. They're getting richer. But here in the U.S., what happened was a lot of people lost their jobs. And this increased competition for jobs, which helped to keep wages down. So not only did free trade not eliminate poverty overseas, but it increased poverty here in the U.S. Now, there was a great opportunity to benefit the poor and the middle class in both countries, simply by putting in worker protections and living wage clauses. But the rich won the lobbying battle. They lobbied really hard. They put a lot of money into lobbying against those things, and so they didn't happen. The rich could have helped to reduce poverty, but they chose instead to spread it. Thanks for listening.